Welcome to Moogle Market 2021. We have our guest artist with us, Dylan, who goes by Bunwitch on Twitter. Say hi.
Hello. I am Dylan the Bunwitch. I go on Twitter and I also have Instagram by the same handle, and Twitch and Etsy.
Even though we probably had a little bit of a talk before this interview started, why Bunwitch?
Well, it's a bit of a rebranding. I had, like we sort of mentioned before too, my username for many years was Crazy Kupo. And so I had gone by the nickname Kupo for a very long time. But sort of during quarantine, I wanted to get back into art and doing it more seriously. And so I had a rebranding of myself. And I was like, well, what things do I really like? And my partner would always say, like, oh, I'm the bun queen or the bun witch sort of thing. And I was like, bun witch, that sounds pretty good. And it sort of blends everything that I really like witchy aesthetics, and like cottagecore sort of things, and rabbits, which I absolutely adore.
Rabbits are the best and they're very cute.
Yes.
You can almost think like they're non-pommy Moogles.
They are a little bit. The Moogles in Final Fantasy 12, I think it was, those ones look the most like rabbits, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think as I recall, yeah, they did have more like the little faces and the longer ears compared to any other Moogle in any of the other games. Like the recent 7 remake had them looking like koalas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, I would die to have a an actual bunny with a palm on its head. Moogle bunny.
Maybe a bunny Halloween costume.
Maybe. So, what got you into art in the first place?
I have always loved to draw. Like as far as I can recall in my memory, I've always loved to draw. And then I've always been a huge fan of video games and stuff. I really got into I hopped on the bandwagon around Final Fantasy X. I think I was 9 years old around then. Kingdom Hearts also came out, and that was another sort of like introduction to the rest of the Final Fantasy universe. Um, and so I got on drawing those characters and be like, oh, well, those are so cool. I really love all this art. And I was just so exposed to all of the world of like video games and anime and manga and everything. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like, I want to keep doing art. And then I sort of fell off of it in high school and college. And COVID has given me a chance to sort of really get back into drawing more seriously. And I've been able to work on my resin art, which is a majority of what I sell, but I do like digital art commissions on the side. Um, and it's just been a lot of fun. And I really love working with that particular medium because I love glitter. But it's so cool to be really creative with that kind of substance because like you're trying to make or emulate different things with it and like all the different types of pigments you can use and all the different glitter mixes or like other types of inclusions you can do. It's just like the possibilities are endless, which I really enjoy about it, and it's a lot of fun. I sort of just like saw it online and I was like, I want to try that, so I did.
Is it particularly hard using resin? I know there's like different types. Like the one I've seen a lot lately is like UV resin.
Yep. There's lots of different types of resin for different uses. So I use 3 types of resin for most of my pieces. So like in one resin piece, I can be using 3 different types of resin because they'll have different viscosities, and they'll be good for different things. UV resin is not so good for making like full charms, but you can use it for like the open bezel sort of like metal frame kind of charms. Um, as far as it being hard, it's definitely a learning curve. I started working with resin 3 years ago at this point. So if you look at my work, that's 3 years of experimenting and learning and working with the medium and trying to just like extrapolate information from the internet and like figuring out what works and like knowing where my comfort zone is, sort of thing. But I would say it's different for everyone. It's fun though, so
Well, that's
just give it a
good.
try. Yeah.
Hopefully, because like Well, everything starts off as a hobby, right? And hobbies should be fun.
Yes, yes.
Although I'm assuming with resin working, it's a little messy, isn't it?
It is, yes. You
Have you
have
ever
to
gotten
wear.
sticky hands before when you started?
When I started, yes, there was definitely times when I was trying to make things and then it like didn't cure correctly, or I just like spilled it all over the place. It was horrible. um, that said, working with resin also, it is a toxic chemical, so you have to wear gloves and a respirator, which I do. But for anyone who wants to get into the hobby, make sure to be safe.
Yeah, safety first.
Yes.
Although at this point, y'all should be used to be wearing masks by now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So a respirator shouldn't be too difficult. In fact, I think it
Yes.
might be a little bit easier to breathe in.
Yeah, yeah. Um, for those, yeah, it just goes over your nose, and there's different types and stuff you can get online or just at like a hardware store.
Yeah, I've seen the ones from the hardware stores with like the actual valves, like the
Yeah.
two protruding ones, one on each side.
Yes, yes, that's
Usually
the kind
used
I
for
have.
painters, I think.
Yep, yep. And you can replace the filters and stuff, but that's the one I have that I use for resin.
That's awesome. So, I know you started with more or less 10 and Final Fantasy 10, and you've touched on Kingdom Hearts, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I've
Yep.
seen your store. There's a lot of Kingdom Hearts in there.
I'm a
Um,
big Kingdom Hearts fan.
so, I am curious, what's your favorite Final Fantasy so far?
So far, oh boy, I it's hard because I don't want to be like, oh, I'm basic. Like I like Final Fantasy VII, but like I like Final Fantasy VII.
There's nothing wrong with liking Final Fantasy 7.
Because so when since I sort of played Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy X at the same time and was introduced to that world, I was like, oh, like through Kingdom Hearts, you're introduced to Moogles and Sephiroth and Cloud and Squall Lionheart and like all of that stuff. So from there, I was like, oh, like these are characters from other video games. What? And so like I had to go back through that and beg my mom to buy me like Final Fantasy VII on eBay or something when I was a kid. But I was able to play that on our PS2. And I enjoyed the remake. The remake was cool. Definitely different.
Yeah.
um, but I replayed the first or the Final Fantasy VII alongside with the remake to sort of like see the differences and stuff.
They definitely
Which was
inserted a lot of extra stories for some of the characters that they originally did not have in the original
yes,
game. Like,
yes.
not to be spoilery, but definitely at the very beginning of the original game, you are introduced to Avalanche, and you
Hmm.
barely have enough time spent beside them if you actually play the original game. If you
Yep.
speed through it, the amount of time you actually spend with them is little less under a half an hour
Yeah, yeah,
versus what you get in the remake, which fleshes them out so much more. Some of them even
yeah.
get a last name now.
I know it's great, and like honestly, it's nice that when you're working with Avalanche in the original game, you sort of just like okay, like yeah, a bunch of fanatics, all right. But like when you play with them in Final Fantasy VII, it's like oh, like it's more fleshed out and like you understand their cause a bit more, which I enjoy.
Yeah.
Um, so I definitely like that. For my Final Fantasy journey, I played like 1 through 12. I didn't like 12.
Oh.
um, and
except
then
for except
I
for the Moogles.
yeah, except for the Moogles. The Moogles were great and the Vera because
Yeah.
how could I not?
Well, yes.
um, and then I skipped all of 13 and then I watched my partner play 15 because he really loved 15 and he cosplayed Nox or no sorry Nyx and everything. Um, he did cosplay Noctis also, but mostly cosplayed Nyx. My Kingdom Hearts journey is way more involved, I would say, currently. I am a huge Kingdom Hearts fan, so I played all of the games. I have all the games.
Did you play 3 when it came out?
I got the Kingdom Hearts 3 PS4, so yes, I played it on. Actually, my package with my game came 2 days before it was supposed to.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was very excited. So I got to play a little early, but yes.
Yeah. Lucky you. Although I think it kind of happened the same with Final Fantasy VII, if I recall. Some people got their copies early as well. It was this weird thing where a bunch of games that were released, I think it was all last year, wasn't it? Where a bunch of games that should have been arriving on the day of or the day after, people got theirs a couple of days early. Probably due to the fact that every postal service was scrambling to make sure everyone got their mail.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and it's like it's not great for the company if we're getting our games early, but like it's great for
Yeah,
us.
it
So,
is. Well, they're already paid for, so they can't really complain.
right, right.
Okay, well, here's something a little less precise. What do you like about Final Fantasy in general, other than Moogles? We know you love Moogles.
I was literally about to say Moogle. um, I I really like the magic system, to be honest. So just like I think it's cool, and I've always enjoyed that aspect. And the summons. The summons have always been so amazing. Oh my goodness, I remember just being blown away when I was like playing Final Fantasy X and first encountered like Shiva. I was like, this is the coolest thing
She is the
ever.
coolest thing ever.
She's so cool. I love her outfit in 10. Um, so I mean, aside from Moogles, I would say the magic system and summons are my favorite thing about Final Fantasy.
Which magic systems? I know, like before 7, they were all pretty standardized. Like the
Yeah.
spells and everything were more or less the same. But after 7,
Mm-hmm.
it seemed like Square started trying to get a little more innovative with their magic systems. Like almost every
Right.
other game following 7 seemed to have a different one.
That's
Like
true.
in 7, their magic was done with materia.
Mm-hmm.
8 was the junction system. 9, I forgot what it was. I'm a terrible fan, I'm sorry.
It's okay. There's a lot. I would.
10 was also something I don't remember that well.
Yeah.
But basically, every iteration after 7 got something a little bit different, like a remix on what past games had. So,
Right.
was there one that you particularly liked or particularly
Um.
wanted to throw out a window out of frustration?
I so 1 through 7, and then 10. I think would be like the ones where I enjoyed the magic the most. 8, I did not like the system for that one.
Yeah, a lot of people had a lot of trouble with the junction system. It's actually
Yeah.
pretty simple to understand, but
Mm.
I think what really frustrated everyone was that no matter how much magic you would hoard, and let's be
Mm-hmm.
honest here, you had to hoard magic in that game.
Yeah.
No matter how much you hoarded to strengthen your own character, the monsters stayed at the same level in strength as you. It was a little silly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, the fact that you had to keep hoarding your magic, otherwise your stats would go down, was also kind of annoying, wasn't it?
Mm. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah. So so I'm assuming you prefer the more closer to the classic versions of the magic system.
Yes, which is, I mean, it's also the one in Kingdom Hearts. So,
That's true.
um, because I just like when you get to like upgrade your magic and stuff, and you go from like fire to Firaga, it feels more powerful, you know. Which I just like really like that to be able to like upgrade the magic, be like, yeah, like this is like super strong, it's so cool, or like meteor and stuff, you know. Um, so yeah, I think that's why I enjoyed the earlier versions, earlier iterations of magic.
Did you have a particular class or job that you liked from the earlier iterations?
Oh gosh, Red Mage, I think. Red Mage. Um,
Red Mage
I
was fun.
always Yes, I always preferred my red mages in Final Fantasy Tactics as well. So, uh, and 10 too. Um, yeah, that's definitely the class I like the best. I think.
Hmm. Yeah, you get the best of both worlds. A little bit of black magic, a little bit of white magic, some stabs.
Yes, yes. Stabs are great too.
Yep. Alrighty. So, on the vein of Final Fantasy games, um, what do you hope for the future of Final Fantasy in terms of Square's projects, like games, spin-offs, anime, whatever comes to mind? What do you hope
Um,
for?
I don't know if this is just like rose tinted glasses or what, but honestly, I would really enjoy to see something a little more classic in the future. Like the way they've gone is so innovative, and Final Fantasy 15 was a huge hit, and understandably so. Like it was a great game. Um, but like there's something missing, I guess, from like that long history of the classic, like up until 8, I would say. Um, of like those classic Final Fantasy games.
Where it was all turn-based?
Yeah, I mean, I know that turn based is not like a thing anymore, really, and like that makes sense.
Well,
But
yeah. Technically speaking,
it's
they are trying to revive the old classic Final Fantasy feel with Bravely Default, which has much of the old classic turn based, the job
mm,
and classes and all that,
yeah,
magic and all things.
hmm
But yeah, it would be nice to see an actual Final Fantasy title take up the mantle of its origins, right?
right, yeah. I suppose like a remake, but like a true remake rather than the Final Fantasy remake, Final Fantasy 7 remake that they're working on. I mean, also this might just be nostalgia brain, and like maybe if it happened, and it would be horrible, but like who knows, you know? Um, but just something that like I would like to see one day.
Yeah, something that isn't just the pixel remasters. I mean, it's nice
Yeah,
they cleaned it up and they basically ironed out most of the glitches from the original games.
yeah, yeah,
But it's just like, oh yay, it's the same game I played exactly.
yeah.
I mean, if it had been like, say, the 3DS remake of, say, 4,
Mm,
like if they
yeah.
if they remade all the other games as they did with 3 or 4, I
hmm
forgot which one it was.
I think it was 3.
I think it was 3. No, yeah, it was 3 with our little Luneth as Onion Knight and all those little ones. But
Yes.
yes, so yeah, if they had redone all the other games the way they redid 3 or oh gosh, I am bad at numbers. I am sorry. I
It's
am
okay.
gonna get lynched by all the Final Fantasy fans listening to this.
It's okay.
Anyways, if they could have actually redone everything instead of just doing a pixel remaster, I think
Yeah.
I think it would have been nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Just one. Just one of the games. That's all I ask. Just a crumb. Please, Square Enix.
Nicer graphics, slightly better world,
I mean, honestly,
a little extra.
even if they did one of like the single digit games as a remake like they did for Final Fantasy 3 but like for the Switch or something, like that would also be great, you
that
know,
that
like
would
another
be
handheld
nice.
one.
Yeah,
Because it doesn't have to be like as grand as the Final Fantasy 7 remake, but like just something so I can enjoy the story again, but like in an updated setting, you know?
indeed. With
So
names too,
yeah.
because the original games, as I recall, they had little to no personalities themselves. They were just like
hmm
your avatar, your characters, your little group that you can just assemble yourself and take on an adventure. But with
Yeah.
the 3DS remake of 3, they gave them a slightly bit more personality and
hmm
unique features because usually with the old games they were all pixelated, they all looked the same.
Yep. Yep.
But in this case, they gave them names, they gave them individual looks. It would be
hmm
nice if they actually did that
Yeah.
with like one or two. Honestly, I would like
Yeah.
2 to be redone.
We can dream.
We can. Okay. So, alrighty. So I'll round this off with one final question.
Hmm.
Is there anything you're working on right now that you'd like to talk about, or something that you'd like to work on in the future?
Oh gosh. I guess my biggest project right now that is semi art related would be Twitch. um, I used to be a streamer about 5 years ago and then stopped because it was just like it was too much for what was going on at the time. But my I say that this is a project because it really is. I made like a 2.5 minute intro video that's very like cinematic, which I is something I've never done before. So that was a new experience, and like doing all the art and branding, I guess, around this, and making like all the emotes and everything, and it's very on brand for me, the Bunwitch. So it's like spooky, but like also rabbits. um, so like aside from artwork, I was in a bunch of zines. Oh, they were all Kingdom Hearts zines.
That's fine.
uh, which
A-
those
Any
all
particular zine you want to shout out?
oh oh gosh, I think pre-orders ended for like two of them already, but there's a Zexion zine or Zexion Ienzo from the Organization 13. There's a zine for him that's out and pre-orders are available. There's also I think the Marluxia zine is also still taking pre-orders, and then the Axel Sykes wedding themed zine is still in production period, but I think pre-orders go live later this month or early next month. So, but you can check out like if you just search like KH zines on Twitter, I'm pretty sure they're all there.
Mm-hmm.
Check them out. There's a bunch of Final Fantasy zines on Twitter as well. There's most recently I think there was a Zack and Aerith zine that I saw. But there's a lot. They're a lot of fun. So check them out.
Yep. Anyways, back to you. So you said Twitch?
Yes. Yeah. I've been doing I just started up again like last week is how recently this has become like a big project for me. Um and I have been mostly doing like horror games and stuff, and we have tea time on Fridays. Or just like sit and I get like some work done or work on drawings, and just have tea together. So that's been good. But getting all like the graphics set up and like all of the cohesive branding has been a big undertaking
I'll
for the
bet.
past week.
I totally
Yes.
understand that. The branding for Moogle Cafe has been a journey.
Yes, yeah, yeah. It's definitely a lot. Mm.
So yeah, thank you very much for joining us, Dylan. Thank you for being a guest at
Absolutely.
the Moogle Market.
Thank you for
Uh,
having me. I'm so excited.
so yeah, so Dylan has handle is a Bunwitch on basically everything.
Yep.
Twitter, Instagram, Etsy. That's where her shop is. Etsy.com/shop/Bunwitch. So check out her things. She has some very nice resin work there. I took a little peek earlier today. They're quite cute, especially
Thank you.
the wayfinders, if I'm not mistaken. That I
Yes.
think that's what they're called, the little
Yep.
star shaped. Yes, yeah, they're very cute. They're very nice, and even though I said, let's not talk about Moogles. Well, we're the Moogle Cafe, right? So there are in fact Moogles. Please,
Yes.
please go buy the Moogles. Please go
Yes.
look at the Moogles. They're very adorable and very cute. And
Thank you.
Dylan did a really good job with them.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.